Hits it. Going to the hoop. Puts it up. Puts it in. A fantastic play.
Welcome back into the Magnolia Fields podcast, Maroon and White Edition. I'm Tanner Marlar, alongside, as always, Cody Blaszczak, diving into the world of Mississippi State athletics, and what a fun world it is right now. If you don't pay attention to football,
I was going to say that's debatable, but
if you don't pay attention to football,
it is fun.
It is,
and I didn't think about it before. It's fun for the fall sports besides football, but it's also fun looking forward to the spring. Think about what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Recruits.
Cruitin'.
For the stick and ball game.
Cruitin'.
It is.
Now, we'll say this. Once we get to the stick and ball season this year,
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
there's some question marks. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, Mississippi State. Football, not football, football, on a tear. Still on a tear.
I was going to say they've been on a tear.
They've been on a tear. They don't show any signs of slowing down. Scored 7 goals against Southern, most they've scored all season, by 2. They didn't just beat it; they crushed it.
Yeah, it was an interesting game.
I mean, they're hosting a SWAC team. Don't get me wrong, but still,
It was interesting in the sense that, for one, Alana Izquierdo looks to be done for the season, and you have to find someone to fill that role. But just kind of switch personnel up a little bit.
I was going to say they didn't necessarily find someone to fill it. They found a way to kind of circumnavigate it.
Yeah, Maggie Wadsworth, who was a starter coming into the season, gets hurt and hasn't started, and then gets the start and then scores a goal, and that was really impressive and kind of changed it up a little bit. The offense looked really good. Defense looks like it has looked all year. This is a team that, at least at home, I'm not sure that any team in the nation can beat them. At home, I just don't think anyone can beat them. Now, on the road, neutral site, maybe a different story, but through 11 home games, State has allowed a total of 0 goals. They have not allowed a single goal at home. And they get, at least at the bare minimum, 1 game at home. That is Friday at 6 o'clock. They're going to be hosting Washington, who had a minor upset against Utah State, the 8 seed. They don't seed after 8 in the bracket in college soccer, but if they were, it'd essentially be the 9 seed. They get Washington, and then earlier in the day, Notre Dame and Kentucky, the 4 and the 5 seeds, will play, and the winner of those 2 games will play on Sunday. And my point to it all is State's going to play 12 or 13 games at home, depending on how Friday against Washington goes. I'm not sure that I don't think Washington can beat this team unless you force it to PKs, which is exactly how they beat Utah State.
I was going to say, that's how they beat Utah State. Utah State, a really solid offense.
A really solid defense. That's a very well-rounded team.
Yeah.
Washington is similar to State in the sense that they're balanced on both sides of the ball. I think they have a better defense than offense. They've got a couple of players that can really put some numbers up, but Iana Papatheodoro is their leader. It is a name.
That's a name.
She can go. And I mean, she can go. She reminds me very much in the sense of an Allie Perry.
Okay.
Leads the team in goals, and it's not just by a little bit. She's got 8 of them. I think the next highest is like 3. Really has been willing this team this year, and you shut her down. I'm not sure that
you don't play Sunday.
Yep.
And that's the goal. Obviously, you want to play Sunday. Mississippi State going to host that matchup either way, I believe, whether they're playing in it or not.
Yes, they will host. Whether they play or not, that game will be in Starkville Sunday at 2, I think.
I think that's right, yeah.
So, yeah, a lot coming to James Armstrong and this women's soccer team. I think something to look at as well is we talk about just how well Mississippi State plays at home. They broke a record in all of history for first-round attendance. last week.
Did they break that?
Yeah, it was
I
first
didn't know
round.
if it was all time.
It's all time.
Excellent.
3,461, I think, is the number. That's what they did on a first round game.
Yeah. Second round.
What is it going to be like second and third? And on top of the fact, State should host the quarterfinals if they win Friday and Sunday.
If they win Friday and Sunday, they host the quarters. Are we talking like 5,000?
I wouldn't be surprised if you had 5,000 on Sunday.
That 5,000 at that stadium would look insane.
Well, 34, almost 3,500 looks insane.
Yeah. But I mean, 5K, could you imagine?
I'm very blessed to be able to call some of these games for them. And I got there about an hour and a half before kick. And there is a line to get in. And I mean, it's not just a 100-person line. It was a deep line. And I had to kind of just navigate through people so I could get in because gates only, it was there an hour early.
There's one way in, one way out.
Yeah. I was there an hour and a half early. Gates open an hour to kick. So I had to navigate my way through and finally get in. And you know how when you go to the Dude for a big-time baseball game, everybody like sprints and tramples in over each other? I wouldn't say there was trampling, but there was a lot of hurrying.
There was sprinting. I remember when I was an undergrad, excuse me, way back when, all of 2 years ago. And when we would go to soccer matches, we would always camp out behind one of the goals. That's where we would sit or stand, truthfully. With 5,000 people there, it's going to be like Cameron Indoor Stadium levels of just packed around the edges.
Well, I challenge you to go back, not just you, everybody, to go back and look at some of the photos of the crowds. And credit to the athletic department for really putting a lot out there. They have an enormous jumbotron sitting in the parking lot, bunch of vendors and everything. But they also brought a lot of bleachers in.
Yeah.
There were people sitting around the bleachers because there's not enough room. I genuinely, I know the goal is 5,000 people and all of that.
How do you fit
I'm
them
not
in?
sure there's enough room.
I think they'll squeeze. I think they could squeeze.
Where?
Around the edges. It's going to be standing
look at the pictures.
It's going to be standing all around the pitch.
I challenge, if they're able to pull off 5,000, I love it. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I think it'll be a great atmosphere regardless. I imagine, just from at least what I feel is common sense, there's going to be more than 3,400.
I could see 4,000 legitimately, easily on Friday.
My guess would be about 4 to 4,200
on Friday, and I could see as much as 5 on Sunday.
The one thing that makes me wonder, maybe it's even more than 5,000 on possibly Friday, is last week Mississippi State did not have a home football game.
No.
They do have that this week. So there will be more people in town.
There will be. There's high school football playoffs going on. Now, I think Sunday could be massive.
Sunday could be massive. I think there will be a good showing both days.
Especially if that's an early, what's that, a 2 p.m. kick on Sunday?
It's 2 or 5. I can't remember which.
If it's a 2 p.m., I could legitimately see a lot of the football crowd staying overnight, saying, yeah, let's go watch playoff soccer on Sunday.
The soccer team has done a really good job at rallying the community.
They have.
It'll be fun.
And that's the thing, it's a lot of Starkville residents out there, not just students. It's a lot of like Starkville residents. You see, and I saw James Armstrong talk about it post-game, the academics got out there, all the university faculty, people from around the area. A bunch of kids were out there from the local high schools and elementary schools. It's not just the university crowd; it's the Starkville crowd.
It's Sunday would be really interesting too, on the fact if Notre Dame beats Kentucky Friday and Mississippi State beats Washington on Friday night. Notre Dame,
they travel well.
Their women's soccer team travels very, very well. I don't know how many people that means will travel, but that adds to your numbers.
Yeah.
So they've got a job to get done. I think they got the pieces to do it. If things go the way most people are predicting, it'll be Mississippi State and Notre Dame come Sunday, and then it's really been, I feel like, right down the middle between those two teams. But if Mississippi State does, in fact, win that game, and the other side of the bracket goes the way it seems like it's going to go, we might have a little repeat of when Mississippi State beat the number 1 team in the nation this year at home, and Arkansas coming back to town next week.
Could be fun.
Could be interesting.
Could be fun. We'll get there when we get there. We're going to get to some Mississippi State women's hoops right after the break. Stick with us here on the Magnolia Fields podcast, Maroon and White edition from the Richard Schwartz and Associates studios. Be right back.
If you've been hurt in a car, you know who to call. Call me. Remember, one call, that's all.
Welcome to the Richard Schwartz and Associates Magnolia Field Studios. One call, that's all.
Back here from the Richard Schwartz and Associates Studios, Tanner Marlar, Cody Blaszczak, bringing you the Maroon and White edition. Just got done talking some Mississippi State football, not football. We're going to avoid talking about that if at all possible. So
It's very possible to avoid.
It is. We're instead going to get into some women's hoops. And oh boy, the Lady Bulldogs, and at this point just the Bulldogs, by the way, are on a tear.
What are they, combined 8-0?
Yeah. Yeah. No Mississippi State team's lost a basketball game yet this year. Knock on wood.
The only team that has lost a lot has been football. Out of 4 teams, there have been...
Volleyball lost a lot.
Well, that's true. All right, never mind. I'm not gonna say that then because you just ruined my point.
Well,
I was gonna say out of the both basketball teams, the soccer team and the football team, you're looking at a total of 10 losses. 8 of those
coming from the football.
Yes,
this is correct.
but there were a lot of volleyball.
There were a lot of volleyball losses. There were, but Mississippi State women's hoops off to a tear. I mean, a tear. Oh, my goodness.
As expected, I think.
I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong.
Again,
100% as expected.
It's not a great
No, the samples,
great schedule.
No, not so far. It has not been. But let's dig into the averages. Why don't we?
they're video game averages.
And Nia Russell's averaging 17 a game.
I think the scariest part about this is some of the individual stats are insane, but State's putting up 81, the women's team, 81 points a game, and they're only allowing 43.5.
They're
almost doubling.
They're holding opponents to almost 25% shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They have not played anybody good.
No.
Anybody. Ain't played nobody, Paul. Ain't played nobody, Paul. But they look good. They look good. You know who else looks good? Medina Okot.
They all, yeah.
She's averaging a double-double.
What I think is really neat about this, too, is you come into this year and it's the final season for Jerkayla Jordan.
Who really hasn't gotten going yet.
Exactly. You expect a lot of good things from her, and I think that's still to come, but you don't need her right now. And just imagine what those margins and everything look like when she does get going.
I'm saying she's not even averaging 10 a game yet.
Yeah.
She's 1 for 15 from deep on the year right now.
She's sitting at 9.8 points per game.
Averaging 31% from the field. That will not continue. No. It will not. She'll regress to the mean. Now, someone else who may regress to the mean, maybe not. We'll see what happens when conference play starts. Medina Okot is Cody, she's shooting 63%.
Yeah, I was saying, what's the mean? Because
she's shooting 63%.
We'll take 13 points off the top just for the sake of it. You're still shooting 50%. Yeah,
shooting 50% at 6'6".
And it's funny, she's only had 27 attempts.
Yeah,
I mean, hey,
she hit shots.
Start shooting more.
She's hitting shots.
She is.
Someone else hitting shots, Debrecia Poe, averaging 12 a game, as near as makes no difference. She's 10 for 19 from 3 so far. I talked to her before the season, and obviously last year she shoots a 40% clip from 3. Hard to beat that. She said, "No, we're shooting for 45% this year." I said, "Oh, are you now?" Oh, she's shooting above 50% right now.
Just about 53%.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I'm going to withhold judgment until they play conference games. But they look really good.
The sample size is good to see.
It is. They look really good. A lot of these are Purcell players. And then this next recruiting class coming in is full of lethal weapons. Lethal weapons. They obviously completely handled Memphis 100-56. They beat Alabama State 83-29 on Kids Day. The kids didn't need to witness that.
No, they didn't.
By the way,
I'll say this: they might have, at least so far, a pretty easy early season non-conference schedule, but boy, when you get into conference play,
My
if it
goodness.
were to start right now, you're playing the number 15 team in the nation in Kentucky. The game after that, it's number 1 South Carolina, and the game after that, it's number 9 Oklahoma.
Well, they're going to head, and even in non-conference, they do get some tests. They're going to head to the Cayman Islands to play Utah and South Florida.
Yeah, but that's a brutal way to start conference play.
It 100% is. And then in the SEC ACC Challenge, they get Georgia Tech, who's not going to be a pushover. They also will play Belmont in Tupelo. Belmont beat them last year, I believe. Belmont's women's team, notably quite good. I'm going to try to go to that one in Tupelo. It's on December the 14th. That's part of that doubleheader they're having there at Cadence Bank Arena. I almost called it Bancorp South Arena. Maybe we should make that trip.
Bancorp South Arena.
I mean, I'm fair, but maybe we should make that trip.
I don't want to hear
Cadence Bank?
No, Bancorp South.
No Cadence?
Don't disrespect.
What beef do you have with Cadence
I
Bank?
hate when things get renamed like that for no reason whatsoever.
Well, Bancorp South doesn't exist anymore.
But they should.
Whoever made the sales making money.
No, they are. Quite a nice arena, might I add.
Very nice. Again, we may try to go to that. Magnolia Fields may be there.
Are you trying to get me in trouble?
No, I mean, we may work. I mean, we're not going to work, but we may just be there. You may see us in the stands.
Probably. It's very possible.
A doubleheader in Tupelo could be fun.
It could.
I kind of envy Brad and Frank right about now because they've got a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to football. And we got men's and women's hoops.
I mean, we've got a lot to talk about.
We got a lot
just
to talk
bad.
about. It's just bad.
I mean, where do you want to start?
I don't think I do.
You sure?
I mean, maybe in the next segment.
10 games, 8-2.
2 very, very probable losses coming up.
Let's keep that to the last segment because I think there is some to talk about.
There is. We'll get to it.
This women's team, though, they have a real chance to start out. They've already started out good. They continue this. I'm a big believer in momentum.
Okay.
In results. And we looked at the first 3 games of that opening up conference play in the SEC, and you get, I don't remember who was first now, Kentucky. You had Kentucky, and then you had South Carolina, and then you get to help welcome Oklahoma to the SEC. But
I don't know if they need much help.
I don't know if they need much help either. But my point being is sometimes it's not great to have cakewalk non-conference schedules, but what it does do is help build momentum and confidence. And you still got some tough games in there. They start out strong. You could get a couple of early big wins in conference play, and you get to go from there.
I agree. My favorite part of non-conference schedules is this: finding out new colleges. You ever heard of Maryland Eastern Shore?
No, I have not. I saw that.
Maryland Eastern Shore, the Hawks. Let's see.
It's a cool logo.
It's a super dope logo.
It's an early one, 11 a.m.
Yeah.
On a Friday.
You can buy a Maryland Eastern Shore Nike maroon varsity polo right now for $55.
Sounds like a new collection to your sweatshirts.
Set decorations. Known supporter of Magnolia Fields podcast, Maryland Eastern Shore. Shout out.
Shout out.
We're going to take a short break, come back, get into some men's hoops, and probably just a little bit of Bulldog football. Just the tiniest bit.
Hold on.
All that and more here in just a moment on the Magnolia Fields Maroon and White Edition here from the Richard Schwartz and Associates studio. Stick with us.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, you know who to call. Call me. Remember, 1 call, that's all.
Welcome back to the Magnolia Field Studios, brought to you by Richard Schwartz and Associates. 1 call, that's all.
Back here from the Richard Schwartz and Associates studios, Magnolia Fields podcast, Maroon and White Edition. Talk a little bit about some Mississippi State men's hoops, Cody. They made me sweat a little bit. I was sweating. I'll be the first to say it. I'd never doubted them. Never doubted them. But I sweat for that Utah game. That was a little close.
I think sweating is kind of doubting.
I mean, no, I wasn't doubting. I was
No, I
nervous.
think you were.
I was nervous.
I think you were doubting a little bit.
I was nervous. But then Mississippi State did what it does.
No. They did not do what they do. They
true.
did something we haven't seen under Chris Jans and was make free throws down the stretch.
They made free throws down the stretch. And then here's the thing. Josh Hubbard ended that. And this is what really kind of calmed me down after that first half. They went into the half down 11. Okay? That's impressive, first and foremost. Josh Hubbard shot 1 for 7 in that first half.
Well, yeah.
I knew that was going to fix itself.
Obviously.
That was going to take care of itself. The question is, where were the other points going to come from? Riley Kugel, Keyshawn Murphy. Hello, fellas. I think they're right behind me.
They are.
Actually. Hey, guys. But, yeah, Riley Kugel, Keyshawn Murphy. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
But Mississippi
Josh
State
Hubbard,
doesn't.
too.
Oh, yeah, I mean, 100%. But Mississippi State doesn't have a good big, Cody. Mississippi State doesn't have a good big. They don't have a 5. Keyshawn Murphy, he's not great, right? He had a double-double pretty much at the half.
I will say, you're the one that's saying, you've said that they don't have a big.
They don't have a Tolu Smith big.
No.
They have and thank God. Listen. Tolu Smith was a mighty fine basketball player from Mississippi State. Mighty fine. Did a lot of good things for this program.
Also did a lot of bad things. Also hurt at some points in time.
I mean, yeah. It's a much different brand of basketball that they're playing now. And I am very excited about it. Keyshawn Murphy had a double-double essentially at the half.
Yeah, I think the special thing was not only did they come back 11 points, but for years, even though it's only been the past couple of years, they were bad. They're very, very bad at free throws. And down the stretch, especially with Cam Matthews making some clutch free throws, he shot 80% from the charity stripe in that game. I think that eases a little bit of nerves for Bulldogs fans. And I'm not saying every game they're gonna make free throws down the stretch, but I think you have a little more confidence in big time moments when they go to the line. You're not going to be panicking like you have in years past.
I'd agree.
Because in years past, it's felt like just about every player on the court from Mississippi State, you could hack-a-shack them and you would not have to blink.
And let me tell you where this team, Cody, is benefiting the most from not having Tolu Smith on the floor. Turnovers. Because too many times last season, Mississippi State would try to run their offense through the post. It would get double-teamed down, and a turnover would happen on the pass back out. Because as good as of a defensive player and a low-post scoring threat Tolu Smith was, not a good distributor. Point blank, wasn't a good distributor for Mississippi State. Keyshawn Murphy is. You know how many turnovers they had against Utah as a team?
7.
7 turnovers as a team. You're not going to lose a lot of basketball games committing less than 10 turnovers a game with these kind of shooting numbers. Okay? Keyshawn Murphy didn't shoot the best from the field. Went to the charity stripe, made it count. 8 for 10, right? Riley Kugel, 4 for 6 from the line. R.J. Melendez, 2 for 3 from the line. I mean, what more could you ask for? Claudel Harris, who lit it up in that first game, went 2 for 10. Only scored 5 points. Got to expect him to at least, again, regress to the mean, get back to what he does best, being a space and pace, 3-and-D wing, right? His coming out game, he had, 21? I don't think that's the consistent threat you're getting from him. I think you're going to get 10 a game, average. You're going to be able to step out and hit the 3 when he needs to. That's all you're going to get, and that's okay. That's what this team needs. They don't need another guy that can score 20+. They got that. They've got Josh Hubbard. They need a bunch of guys that can give you 10. They can give you 12. And that's exactly what they have in Claudel Harris, Riley Kugel, Keyshawn Murphy, and Cameron Matthews.
On top of that, I think they're a team that needs to not turn the ball over. Which,
100%.
as you mentioned, it has improved. But
you want to know the craziest stat that I've seen over the last week? Mississippi State's played 4 games so far this season. Guess how many turnovers Josh Hubbard has through those 4 games?
I don't think any.
None. That is an insane statistic for a guy that's playing 30-plus minutes a game and is your primary ball handler.
Yeah. We knew the kid was good.
0 turnovers? 0.
He good.
He good.
He's very good.
The secret is out.
He he is good at this thing called basketball, and he's going to continue to do that.
The secret is out, man. Jeez.
Yeah, this is a team. I think this is a team that if they continue to put up efforts like they did against Utah, because quite frankly, 11 at half is a pretty large deficit.
And they were still only 6 of 25 from deep. This is not a good three-point shooting outing for anybody on this team. Only person to make one outside of Hubbard was Claudell Harris, and he only made one.
Yeah.
Just looking back at the Utah game, that's not normal.
No.
And they still pulled out the win. And that will probably wind up being a Q1 win.
At Q2 at minimum, but
I think the neutral site makes that a Q1.
it could. Yeah, they've got some games coming up. They'll play SMU come Friday.
I think
Holy
Friday.
mackerel.
That's
There's
a good game.
lot going on this weekend for Mississippi State athletics.
That's a good game. That's in Dallas, part of the ACC. Actually, not part of the ACC Challenge, I don't believe. But ACC team and SMU.
It will be on the ACC network, but it's not part of that challenge.
No, but we will be trying to watch it. 7:30 p.m. tip. I think Mississippi State still comes away with it. I think they're just too big, too physical.
I said last week or 2 weeks ago, I think this is a team that should not lose a game in their non-conference. They might lose one, but it shouldn't be many.
No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Very possible that it comes against SMU. I don't think it does.
The one I have circled is Pitt, and that's in Starkville, which gives me a little more hope that State will take that game.
Agreed.
That is the SEC-ACC challenge.
Should be packed out.
It should.
Got about 3 minutes left here. Let's do it. You know what? Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Mississippi State, Missouri, this weekend. Mississippi State's going to lose, but it's the game after that you're worried about.
No, I'm not worried because I don't really have anything in the game with this. Well,
I have zero faith.
I mean, I don't have faith, but what I think is interesting, I think this could be a trap game for Ole Miss.
I think
just because of everything going right for them. This is the year that if a really bad Mississippi State team were to beat an Ole Miss team, it would be this year purely because of how bad the Bulldogs are and the fact that Ole Miss is probably going to get into the college football playoff
with a win.
It will, if they win out. Obviously, have to win this week and then the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. It's just a year that feels like
it's in Oxford, which should make you sleep a little easier at night if you're an Ole Miss fan. I don't think it happens.
No, I don't think it does
but
either.
It would be the most Mississippi State thing ever.
I am not predicting this by any means, but I will not be surprised because that is just how this is how dumb things happen.
I would throw my hands up and say, "Well, that happened."
Tell me what Mississippi State has to lose.
Yeah, not a thing.
Because they lose. They have double-digit losses. Big deal. You already have 9 of them going into it. You win, and you are still not bowl eligible.
You're still not bowl eligible. Not a bit of it matters.
There is literally nothing riding on
Not
this.
a bit of it matters except for ruining Ole Miss's playoff hopes.
And personally, I think Jeff Lebby wants to win the Egg Bowl his first
I
game.
do too. I mean, I think there's some bad blood left between him and Kiffin, but
tell me it doesn't. I'm not saying again.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to.
Let's put that out there. We do not think Mississippi State is going to beat Ole Miss, but it would be the most Mississippi State thing possible.
It's just one of those years that Mississippi State's so bad, and I'm not saying Ole Miss is so good, but they're pretty good.
They're pretty. There are times where they look like the best team in the country.
That there is, but there are also times when they look like
lose
they
to
are
Kentucky.
bad.
There are times when they lose to Kentucky.
So, and Tanner, remind me, where were they at when Kentucky beat them?
They were in Oxford.
Okay, I'm just saying
They were.
Just looking at all the pieces here.
My thing is this, and this is broadening on the college football landscape before we go, and don't respond to this. College Football Playoff Committee. The NIU Notre Dame game happened. I won't let you forget about it
Why can't I respond to that?
because we're running out of time,
Oh, okay. That did happen.
and they're just ignoring it.
I'm just happy about the team that's sitting at 7.
That's fair. That's all the time we've got here on the Maroon and White edition of this Magnolia Fields podcast from the Richard Schwartz and Associates Studios. Tanner Marlar, Cody Blaszczak, signing off.